So, welcome back to the second week of Lockdown Journals. My name is Hansika and I like drawing and painting. Today I have Aneesha with me, who's an amazing abstract artist, and she also uses fabric waste in her paintings. And she also likes meeting new people and also like about environment. Hi Aneesha.
Hi, Hansika. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, great. How are you doing?
fine. So Aneesha, can you tell me more about yourself?
Sure. Hi everyone and welcome. Thank you for being here. Like Hansika said, I am an abstract and contemporary artist based in Hyderabad. I incorporate a lot of fabric waste that I collect from tailors in my artwork to kind of spark conversations about textile waste, fast fashion, or traditional textiles, etc. I basically, if I had to summarize, I would say I like to look for waste around me to make art. Yeah.
So Aneesha, when did you start art?
I've been painting since I was about 2 years old, and I took art classes almost every week from the age of 2 to about 13 or 14. And then I had taken a break for a few years, and I had more seriously picked it up again 2 years ago.
So, what kind of art style do you like to do?
So I feel like I haven't completely found my style yet, and I'm still exploring. I think finding your style comes with a lot of practice. I wouldn't say I'm focused on one particular style, but I enjoy doing watercolors, and I enjoy doing mixed media art. And I also really enjoy painting florals. So I would say those three are kind of what I like to do.
Can you tell what is mixed media art?
Sure. Mixed media art is not any one particular type of art, like you have acrylic or oil or pencil drawings or watercolors. It's kind of a mix, as the name suggests, of all of these different styles. So for me personally, it means like using materials around me. So it's not just one type of paint or pencil or crayon. I use fabric, I use paint, I use bubble wrap, I use dried leaves and flowers. I use basically anything that I can find around me. So I would say mixed media art is a lot more broad.
So, as you're telling that you use stuff from the nature, like the fabrics, the stuff like leaves and everything. So, can you tell me what do you feel about nature? Like, what do you feel?
So personally, I've always been drawn to nature. I That's where I feel most comfortable, most myself. If I ever had to imagine my dream trip or vacation, it always ends up being, somewhere closer to nature, away from the city, away from people. I've always loved nature. I also really like gardening. I have a small rooftop garden where I grow cotton, I grow sunflower, I grow jasmine. I would say that I've always been close to nature, and I guess I cared a lot for the environment and protecting animals and things like that.
So, what actually motivated you to like do gardening or like?
I can't think back to any one particular factor that pushed me in that direction. I think it's a lot about my upbringing. My parents are also very, very close to nature, care a lot about, gardening, the environment, things like that. I actually remember when I was in grade 3 in school, I had learned that there was someone who had killed around 6,000 polar bears in a single year or something like that. And I was so affected by that I had written to the chief minister, like letting him know that this is not okay. And that was at the age of, I think, like 7 or 8 years old. So I think all of these experiences have kind of like added up for me. I don't think it was anything recent. It's always been there. It's only that over the past 2 or 3 years, I've actually started to listen to it more and do something about it.
So, what according to you is the biggest environment threat today?
I think it's the problem of waste. I mean, I think we're doing so poorly in the environment and, climate change, that I think almost everything is like an urgent problem. But a problem that I think that we can easily start with and solve is the problem of waste. I think if we start thinking about such simple questions regarding waste, like how much am I buying? Why am I buying this? Where is this packaging going when I throw it away? Things like that, we can really make big changes in the environment by changing our lifestyles in small ways. So that's something that I personally think would be a great place to start.
So, what do you think about the way we have treated our environment?
Sorry?
What do you think about we treating our environment, the way we are treating the environment?
So I think, I think, for example, like especially in the pandemic, we've seen, like how collective action really makes a difference. How lockdown and staying at home, how when every single person on the planet or in a society is collaborating, we really can, as humankind, make positive change. And I think that's the level of change that we need to care for our environment, because things are changing so fast. We are so quickly hitting so many sensitive planetary boundaries that enable life on earth, that's the level of urgency that we should be treating it. But for various reasons, I think it's not getting that level of attention.
So, what do you think? How can it be overcome all these situations?
So I would say the first and easiest thing to start doing is to start thinking about any time you buy or try to consume something. There are very few like basic questions that you can ask yourself. For example, what am I buying? Where am I buying this? Who made it? Or what is this made of? And where does this go when it's thrown away? So, for example, if you look at, say, a big chocolate box, right? So you say it has lots of packaging, like looks really pretty, has ribbons, has like all of this great wrapping. I think when you like even just ask yourself, do I need so much packaging? And you pick something minimalistic. I think that makes a difference. And then, for example, by using bar soap instead of liquid soap, you save on a lot of packaging, you save on a lot of plastic. Similarly, I think when it comes to textiles and clothing, when you ask these same questions of who made these clothes, why am I buying them? Do I actually need them, or am I just buying it to keep up with some trend? And where does this textile or these clothes go when they're thrown away? I think those are the questions that you can ask to anything when you're trying to consume something, that will automatically in your subconscious make you more aware of what you're consuming, what you're letting go of, and will definitely affect your mindset in how you think when you shop next time. So that's personally how I started thinking, and it's really changed a lot for me.
So, did you take any steps from your side to like stop this, to reduce this effect of environment?
Yes, definitely. I do have to practice what I preach, so I do take a lot of steps. So we try to grow some of our own vegetables. So by doing this, you reduce, whatever packaging you use when you buy at a store. That's a step. I also you do only bucket baths, no shower, because I noticed that whenever I take a bath with a bucket, it reduces the water consumption almost by 25%, which is a lot. So that's another change
Yeah.
I made. And I also, like I mentioned, I use only shampoo bars and soap bars rather than the liquid ones, because again, with the liquid ones, you get a lot of plastic waste, you get a lot of packaging. And I also do no longer buy any clothes from big brands. This can be, I don't want to name them because there are a lot, but I try to buy all of my clothes from craftsmen, so people who do block printing or ikat, and then I try to get them stitched on my own. So these are just a few examples of like small things I've started to change in my life to be more conscious and sustainable.
I heard that you even use natural stuff for artwork, right? So, can you tell me what kind of natural stuff do you use? for
Sure.
art?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I think this is an area that's of great interest to me because um, I think art is normally seen as such a peaceful, a serene, a very, a process centered in yourself. And I think that's absolutely true. But I think what comes along with it is all of these materials that are actually very, very harmful for the environment that we're not even aware of, and that's not anyone's fault necessarily. It's just how, we've ended up in this situation as humans. So many things such as so acrylic paints, I've learned very recently, are basically 100% plastic, which you can imagine how terrible that is for the environment. If any painting or anything is thrown away, it would take decades and years to just degrade into the environment. And for example, even canvases that you buy in stores, so those are coated with a layer of PVC, which is again one of the most harmful types of plastic that you can find on Earth. And these are things that artists are not aware of. No one teaches us this. So that's something that I'm trying to explore and discover for myself. And some of the changes that I've made are instead of using canvas, I now only use paper, because paper is a lot easier to biodegrade in the environment. And I'm also exploring natural paints instead of acrylics. So if you see some of my past work, you will definitely see acrylic. I'm not denying it, but I am like exploring using natural dyes and pigments instead of acrylic paint, but in a way that I get just the right consistency. And the other third thing is, whenever I frame my paintings, I don't send them to a frame shop where they use plastic or fresh wood. Rather, I pick up waste wood from furniture shops and then make frames out of those. So my
Wow.
frames are also made out of waste. So yeah, so these are small changes, but it is very difficult to navigate through because, like I mentioned, not a lot of people talk about it, and there's not much awareness about it. But that's something that I hope to create awareness about through my artwork, is to find a great solution and then share it with the world so we can all adopt it.
Anisha, your voice is breaking.
Oh, I'm sorry, is this better now?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So Anisha, can you give us can you give the message, can you give a message on how to save environment? Any message about saving environment?
Sure. I think if I had to make it very short, I would say that all of us need to start asking ourselves like three very basic questions. Like I mentioned, anytime we shop, it's who made this? Why am I buying it? And where does this go when it's thrown away? I think when you ask yourself those questions, you automatically start getting into a mindset of only buying what you need, and only buying things that help you and help the environment. Because normally, I think when you look back, most things that are help the environment are actually good for you, and the things that are bad for you are often bad for the environment as well. And that again comes with paints also. Acrylic paints, their fumes can be very toxic to humans. So there's a very great correlation in that regard.
So what is your favorite style? As you said, you use natural paints, you use watercolors, acrylic. You even do block printing. So what is your favorite style of painting?
So I think so my favorite style is abstract paintings. I really love patterns, and I really love colors. So I think in most of my work, I like to explore how the patterns and colors kind of play with each other. And I think my most favorite artworks are actually the ones where I've incorporated fabric waste that I've picked up from tailors, because I think those add a very unique sense to the artwork. And it also kind of draws attention to how much beauty there is in even these like little tiny bits of clothes that people just throw away. So that's, I think, what I like the most.
So can we see some of your painting?
Sure. I'll just share my screen and show you guys. Yeah, are you able to see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. So again, this is something I started about 2 years ago. So like I mentioned, some of the things I talked about are incorporated here, and some of them are not, because I think when you try to be sustainable, it's a long journey. It's not something that's easy to turn on or change overnight. So a lot of the things and learnings I'm sharing with you are things I've learned over the past like 2-3 years. So you'll see the pieces change in small ways. But yeah, this was the
So I have
first.
a question for you.
Sure.
So what does sustainability mean to you?
So that's a difficult question. To me, I think it means I see it in two ways. I see sustainability as one aspect for the environment, and I see sustainability in the second aspect as for our community of artisans, the communities of people who become vulnerable to the way in which the world is changing. So, for example, when we talk about artisans, I think today where people are so caught up in fast fashion and getting the latest trends, the latest clothes, the latest styles, that that mindset affects a huge community of artisans and craftsmen that we have in India who don't have the livelihood anymore to make traditional textiles or fabrics or handlooms. So I view it in two aspects. One is to make art that is environmentally friendly, and two, make art that supports artisans and craftsmen in some way.
Wow.
Thank you. So this is the first piece that I explored when I first, the idea I had for this was, and I'm sure I'm not the only one when I say this, but there have been so many times that, we might have bought clothes that we think are so pretty, so beautiful that we don't want to wear them, right? We don't want them to get spoiled. We don't want anything to spill on them. We just want to hang them on a wall and say, I just want to stare at this over here. I don't want to touch it. So that's the same feeling that this piece started for me, and this whole series actually, where I started thinking about all of these precious textiles. We love to wear them, we love to look at them. So why can't we also treat them like art? Just like people do block prints on fabric, why can't I do block prints on paper or a canvas? So this is the first painting that came out of that idea, where I painted an abstract background and then hand block printed this pattern on top.
Very beautiful. It's actually very nice.
Thank you. And so the series is quite similar. This is the second painting that I had made for my own home. And
So the block print, did you actually made the block print or did you buy it?
so the block print, again, I had bought from craftsmen. So this kind of addresses the second aspect of sustainability I was talking about, where I talked about how I want to support craftsmen. So I think one way to do that is to buy their blocks to help them continue their livelihood. Um, so yeah, so all of these blocks are hand cut blocks from artisans.
So how do you make art sustainability?
So so like I mentioned, so these are the initial paintings that I first started with. And as I started doing these paintings, I slowly realized more ways that I could become sustainable. And so this series over here at the bottom is where I can explain to you. Yeah, here's where I can explain to you how I've adapted sustainable practices in making art. So this one, these three pieces are actually pieces of ikat fabric. This I actually picked up from the floor of this weaver's home, where he was weaving this ikat fabric. I mean, not the same one, but he was weaving ikat fabric, and these were some scraps that he had left over. So I had used these in my painting, and again, the background is paper, not canvas. And then this frame is made out of reclaimed wood. So this actually came from old shipping boxes. And I also collect them from furniture stores where they have discarded wood.
Wow, beautiful.
Thank you. And so these are some more pieces in that same style. And if you notice as we go on, you'll see that each frame is so different. And I think that's one of the beauties of using waste and upcycling things. where, each product you get is so different and unique. There's no way that you can recreate it again. And that's what makes it, I think, extra special. Um, so this
So
is
this one, how did you like? What did you use for the background? What kind of paint?
So again, this in the background, this one is acrylic paint. And shortly after this, I had discovered that acrylic paints are plastic. So that's when I started exploring natural paints. But the ones listed here are acrylic. And these yellow pieces are fabric waste.
Beautiful artwork.
And again, this is fabric. And then the pattern in the middle is again with the hand cut block.
Wow.
And this as well. This is actually a net fabric that I had picked up. Yeah. And I don't know if you can tell, but would you be able to guess which parts are fabric here?
The blue and the blue, dark blue.
Yes, that's correct. The blue is the fabric, and also these small gold pieces are also fabric.
And then is the other one also fabric? The window kind of the holes
No, this
behind
one
the
is
frame.
actually made using a stencil. So that's, I think, something where mixed media art comes in. You just use any materials around you. So I've used a stencil in this for the background. And this again is the ikat fabric. And then over here, actually, I'll zoom in a little bit. Do you want to guess which one is the fabric here?
I think the donut shaped ones, circles.
Yeah, you're correct.
And I think over here, I think you even use the covers, the wrapping
Yes,
covers.
exactly. So again, over here, I used old bubble wrap. The smaller circles are all bubble wrap, and then the bigger circles are fabric. And if you notice, there's a little bit of the stenciling pattern as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then this one is also, all the yellow parts are fabric. And yeah, I would encourage you to keep looking at the frames because they are different in every single piece. And if you
So
notice,
can
like,
you?
there are sorry, Hansika,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So can you tell me the story of how you got this idea to do? Like how did you start? Like how did you get this idea? Like I have to use fabric in my paintings.
So I've always loved textiles and fabric. In fact, even when I was a kid, I would go to the tailor shop with my mom, and I still remember, like, I would always see the floor with such beautiful pieces of fabric that they would just throw in a bag and then dump outside. And it always kind of bothered me that that looks so good. Why is that person throwing it away? And so every time we went to the tailor shop, I'd always collect a little bag of all of these scraps to take home. And to be very honest, I did nothing with them for 10-15 years. They were just lying in my cupboard because I liked them. And then I think it was about 2-3 years ago when I was living abroad. It really bothered me how people abroad had so much of an appreciation for Indian textiles. You can just see it with the prices. Like, things are 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 times more expensive there than here. But in India itself, there's so little appreciation and awareness for our own textiles. And I think that's something that I wanted to change, because I think traditional crafts, traditional textiles are always associated with people who are, older, or like, a generation above us. But I personally really like them. And I think that's a shift in mindset that I also wanted to bring to other people around me. And so I think it's that combined with, me wanting to see all of my clothes on my wall instead of in my closet, that helped me think of textiles as art rather than something rather than decor, I guess.
Wow.
And then yeah, and then this, you had asked me about my love for nature, so these are a couple of pieces from that area. So these are
So
flowers.
before this, I have some questions for you. Like,
Sure, go ahead.
so what does art mean to you?
um That is a big question, but I will try to answer it. I think art to me, um, I think it's a part of your soul. It's a part of you that you're creating and putting out there. I also think that it's making art is a way to connect yourself, because it's when I make art that I learn so much about myself and so much more about what more I can do. So I think that's what art means to me. Yeah.
So,
How
what
about
is your
you?
favorite?
Can I ask you that same
Yeah,
question?
yeah, yeah. You can ask. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, art means like it's like same like you. I like art. It doesn't mean something great, but when I do art, I like it. Like I get inspired or I get myself calm and everything. So that art means for me.
That's amazing. That's nice to hear. Thank you.
So what is your favorite artwork and why?
Um, in amongst my work, or in complete in general, any person
In general.
in general. So I think one of my favorite old-time artists is Van Gogh. I know that's one of the most famous and typical choices, but I what I really like is are his paintings in nature. The Starry Night, the fields, all of those. And I also, like I mentioned, I really like exploring colors and playing with how they interact with each other in my paintings. And I think that's something he does very beautifully. When you really study his paintings, you will notice that they look the way they are because he uses the colors in the background in the face. He uses the colors of the face in the background, and they are just completely interchanged. It kind of goes against everything that we're taught about in art class or art school. He puts color everywhere, but yet it comes out so beautifully. And I think kind of discovering and learning that is what makes him one of my favorite artists.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite artist?
No, for now I know.
That's good. You should be your favorite artist. Yeah. Should I go ahead?
Yeah, you can go on. You
Okay,
can go.
sure. So this is a painting of florals that I had did for someone. And again, this is canvas before my big realization that it's bad for the environment. And yeah,
So this is an acrylic painting, right?
yes, this is acrylic.
It's
Um,
beautiful.
Thank you.
So
Um,
how did you give the texture for these flowers?
So in this one, so this is actually a trick some artists use where you're talking about this 3D effect, right?
Yes, on the flowers, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a trick that a lot of artists use. I think traditionally what people did was they took paint so thick that they could make these effects on the canvas directly. But of course, paint supplies are very expensive, and no one really wants to waste money on making such thick layers. So people sell something called texture white, which is basically a white paste, the same consistency as paint. And so you kind of just apply that and then make whatever effect you want, and then you paint on top of it, so that way it looks like it's paint that's giving it the 3D effect.
Wonderful. It's beautiful, the painting.
Thank you. All of these hang in my home because I get so attached to them, I can't give it away to anyone. um yeah. And then this again is watercolors. I really like experimenting with watercolors as well. um
So is any story behind it, or did you actually see that flower in the nature, or you imagined it?
So this one actually, I like try to consistently keep learning, because like I mentioned, I feel like I'm still discovering my style and have a long way to go. So I often watch video tutorials and things like that. So this is a technique by one of my favorite watercolor artists. And so I was trying to kind of just experiment with that and see how it was coming along. And it was really, really fun to paint with this. I would actually say if there's anyone here who wants to start painting or wants to just do it for the joy of it, not to create or sell or any of that, I would say watercolors is a great place to start, because just when mix the colors together and like swirl it around, it creates magic. So I would definitely recommend.
So what kind of watercolor technique is this?
So this is one where you first paint with water. So you paint the shape with water, and then so for example, if I take this petal over here, the blue and reddish pink one, so you first make this outline and fill it in with water on your brush. And then what you do is you dip your brush in, say, the blue paint, and you consistently keep dabbing it in this area. And then you wash your brush, and then you take the pinkish red paint. Then you consistently keep, poking at it in that area, and then it'll start to spread. And you will still have, an empty space here. And then once you start like moving the paper around, the colors automatically flow and mix with each other, which is what creates the blending effect. This is not done by hand.
Okay, wow, it's beautiful, and even the shading, the colors you use.
Thank you. I actually have a couple of videos of this on my Instagram. If anyone is interested, I'll leave you with the link after the session. Yeah. And then I'll go on to the next one. Yeah, this one is something I made, I think, last year. Yes. Yeah, and this is actually not a painting, but it's a dried twig that I picked up on the side of the road.
So, so when you're picking up the stick, did you actually imagine you want to make something like this, or after picking up after some days you imagine that okay I can use this like a painting, I can do something.
Yeah. So I definitely didn't imagine this when I picked it up. We had actually stopped on the side of the road because we were lost somewhere. And when we stopped, I saw this plant, and this is a wild plant. I think it's quite common everywhere. And when I saw this, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting and looked cool. So I picked it up, and then I had dried it in a book. And then I think many months later, I found it. And then when I found it, I thought of the idea because, it was flattened by then after drying. And then I thought, oh, it would be cool to, use this to in my painting. And then I imagined like a little girl swinging on it. So that's when I made this.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Thank you. Um, and this one is another one I made. Um, Yeah. So this one I think lasted for approximately 4 hours because I was walking around my garden and I had picked up, these small flowers. And just so that you have scale, I think the flowers were this big, so not very big at all. And I thought it would be, fun to make a bouquet out of it. And yeah, and then I kind of, tied it with a little string over here, um, and then painted this background. And so, yeah, after the freshness was gone, that.
So you actually stick the leaves and the flower, right? Or did you
So,
tie
yes.
it?
So I didn't stick it because I knew they would kind of wither away because I had plucked them fresh. So I just kind of placed it on top of the paper. And then after they withered away, it was done. That was the life of the painting, was 4 hours.
But it's so beautiful and it's so cute.
Thank you. Yeah, I have all of these again on my Instagram page. So if you like any of these, you can just take a screenshot and use it as a wallpaper. You can do whatever you want with it. So I'll share you the link afterwards. And then this is one of my favorites. These are again leaves from my garden. And this is my best friend and I as kids. We used to love catching bugs and looking at them under the magnifying glass. So this is kind of just a memory of that.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is kind of what my luggage looks like every time I come back from a trip. is I collect seeds of various things that I like and bring them back in my suitcase so then I can plant them in my garden. So yeah.
I think everyone does something. Like if they go out something, they'll collect from what they want to like actually collect.
Absolutely. Do you have anything that you like collecting and bringing back home?
So I collect stones and shells whenever I go out.
Oh, nice. Yeah, stones and shells are also great objects. And plus, they add so much character to whatever space you put them in. So, yeah. And I think this is it, actually.
All your paintings are beautiful and amazing.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. I'd love to see your work as well. Is there some time in the session that we can, see it?
Yeah, I can actually show it now.
Okay, sure. Let me just stop sharing mine. Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
So this is a polar bear, and this one is a pencil shading
Nice.
drawing. So this one is also a pencil shading drawing.
Yeah.
It's also an animal. You can see the different shades of brown in
Yeah,
the screen,
absolutely.
and even the small strokes
Yeah.
on the neck and the tail.
It looks so realistic.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I really admire that because, I mean, if you see my work, I can't paint many realistic things. I can't paint humans or animals, especially. So this is really some skill that you have. It looks really good.
Thank you. And this one is also a charcoal painting. And this
Wow,
one
this
I
is
did during the lockdown. Recently, during this lockdown, in the monsoon, so you can even see the rainy effect in this painting by people holding umbrellas
yeah,
and walking.
absolutely. And the effect is really beautiful. I can see that you also like went into the details to do the reflections in the on the ground and
So, did you ever use charcoal in your paintings?
um very minimally. So sometimes I have a hard time getting started on a painting because I don't know where to start since most of them are abstract. So all I use charcoal for sometimes is to kind of just scribble on the background so that it starts to create some shapes. And so that's what I use charcoal for. But I was never able to do something as intricate and detailed as this. So this is very, very impressive.
And this one is a poster painting. It's a sunflower.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to send you more pictures of my sunflower in my garden so you have more, inspiration images. Yours looks really good and very, very close to what I have also.
Thank you. And this one is a deer. I made the deer with the clay, so it's called a clay art. And after it dried up, I painted.
Wow, this is beautiful. So this is 3D, right?
Yeah, it's 3D.
Nice.
Thank you. And this one is a pen shading. I did this recently, like few days back, after I met a new person in my interview. Like I got inspired by her, and I did this pen shading.
This is beautiful. I really like this. And I also really admire how you're exploring so many different styles and, just taking this opportunity to learn and do what's coming naturally to you. That's really, really good.
Thank you. And this one is a watercolor painting. It's like my first watercolor painting. And I'm not that perfect at watercolor. Like I don't like watercolor sometimes because I don't know how to shade or anything.
Wow.
So
This
yeah, these
definitely
are
doesn't
some
look
of.
like your first attempt.
Okay, so these. Thank you. These are some of my artworks.
Yeah. They're really good. I hope you continue, making art, even though you might, have exams coming up or big career changes and things like that. But yeah, I really hope you continue.
I think more than exams, I do artwork.
That's good.
Like I don't have the tension of the exams. So like before one day of exam, also I actually go for art class.
That's
So
really good. Yeah. Well, if you pursue art as a career and you study it, I think that's the way exams are in art school, is that you have to make art. You don't have to sit and write a paper. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Is there a particular style that you enjoy doing, or
so I like to do acrylic. Mostly I like to do acrylic because it easily dries up,
yeah?
and even the shade of the colors easily I actually easily blend and stuff. So that's why I like acrylic style the most.
Nice. Yeah, that's really good to know.
So what can so I want to ask you something. So during this lockdown, what did you explore? Like what did you explore new styles of art?
Yeah. So this lockdown actually, when right in the very beginning in March or April, when everything was shut, shops, and it was almost like a curfew situation. I ran out of art supplies, but I wanted to continue making art, and I didn't want to, use Amazon or any of those websites to buy supplies. So I came across this really interesting concept where you revive old books. So you take any old books that you have and you can just paint in them. And so I was kind of exploring that concept, and just various styles in that. I actually have it with me here. I'll just show you guys. um, so this is a book that I picked up from my bookshelf. It's any regular novel that you would find. And so I started painting in this. This was my first piece.
Wow. And can
um
you tell me what is it? Like you drew a animal in the middle, right? In the center.
yeah. So the I think both of these pieces, what I was unconsciously trying to say was, you should embrace who you are, regardless of, just be happy with yourself, how far you've come, and be unique, be yourself, basically. And so I think that's something that I did very simply with these dots, where all of these white dots, but you can be the pink dot, you can be yourself. And I think that's something that's very important, especially when you're making art, is to remember who you are, what you would like, what your desires are, because there's so many of these popular styles and artists that come about, that it's easy to get influenced by them. So that's a theme that I started with in this book, is to remember who you are. And this also kind of touches on the same theme. um, and it's like, it talks about how, even if you're a zebra, you should decide how you want to wear your stripes. So that's like a popular proverb, is wear your stripes. So it kind of came from that no matter who you are, you should decide who you want to be, how you want to live, what kind of person you want to be. So yeah, that's kind of what these two paintings talk about. And then these are just exploring. I didn't do them with any intention. It was just because I had an idea. I wanted to, just do it to see what it would look like. And that's what all of these pages are.
They're
And
amazing. They're even beautiful.
thank you. So these are just, simple doodles, patterns. This one is an abstract. Um, this is a tile painting.
This one
Uh,
actually looks amazing.
yeah, I actually also really like all of these pattern tiles. And so this is where that inspiration came from. Again, these are all abstracts. And then over here, you'll notice, like, all of this while I was kind of, covering up the background of the letters. As I started to do more paintings, I realized that, it's very unique to have letters in your background as a painting. And so I wanted to explore how it would look if I left that as it is. And then I really liked the way that it came out, because I think it makes the painting interesting, that you have something written on it. You're redoing it. There's a story behind everything.
So
So
how do you actually get this idea? Like after you have to paint in a book, like an old
So
book.
yeah, so there's this community on Instagram called Old Book Revivalists. And so it's a community of artists who, similarly just pick up old books and paint in them. And so when I had come across it a while ago, and then as soon as we were in lockdown, I remembered it. And that's when I thought, why should I buy new supplies? Let me just reuse what I have to continue painting. Um, so
Wow.
yeah, these are, I'll just quickly flip through them. The other work that I made.
The moon and the flowers are amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy painting flowers. And yeah, so yeah, these are all, just explorations. And then this one actually is experimenting with natural paints. So all of these are turmeric. This one is turmeric plus baking soda. And then this one is turmeric crust plus surf. So you can take any natural dye, and when you add baking soda, it goes to one shade, and then when you add surf, it goes to like the other side of the spectrum. And then this over here again is uh, paint made out of onion peels.
So
So
did you use these kind of techniques in your artwork anytime?
that's what I'm currently working on it. I had just started this, I think a couple of weeks ago. So I'm trying to understand the chemistry of these paints better, because I want to find something that's a long lasting solution, so that once I have it figured out, I can completely replace acrylic paints with natural ones. So yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. And
It's
then
amazing.
actually, for anyone who's curious about natural paints, these are two paintings I made completely with the yellow is turmeric, and the pink is like a very soft, beautiful pink from onion peels again. And this worked
Wonderful.
exactly like watercolors. So yeah. Yeah, what about you? How was your experience in lockdown?
So
What
even I learned new stuff in this lockdown. I explored new art styles, and I met new people. Like know about them and know how they do, and they from them how new styles. So this lockdown also gave me more time for doing artwork. So usually when you have school, I think you don't have so much time for doing artwork. So this lockdown actually helped me
true?
do artwork more.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
really
that's it.
nice to hear. And how is your experience with the lockdown journals?
I think this lockdown journals, I learned new things about new people. And I think for me, I think I open up. I never used to talk to people. I used to be shy. I think this lockdown journals actually made me improve, like talking to people and stuff.
That's amazing. That's really nice to hear. It sounds like a lot of, growth and new opportunities for you as well.
So Anisha, I think it's almost time. So audience, if you have any questions, you can ask. You can type it in the chat box, or you can unmute and ask questions for Anisha. So from Zaira, Anisha, there's a question from Zaira.
Okay, sure.
Can you suggest an alternative for acrylic paint?
This is the $1,000,000 question I've been asking. So to be very honest, and this is going to be a little bit of a long answer. So like I mentioned, like with these natural paints, you can get all the colors you want. There is absolutely no doubt about it. But the problem, or I guess the drawback, is that they come in the consistency of watercolors. So there's very limited things with how you can use them and paint them, and that's a limitation that I faced, because I normally use a palette knife to paint. So I need something that's thicker, like a paste. So that's why I kind of did a lot of research, and I came across someone in Jaipur who was able to give me a solution. And so the solution is to use pigment powders. So this can be, if you're looking for, say, turmeric is an easy one to find, you can use that. But also you can use indigo, madder root, charcoal, things like that. You can add water to that along with a little bit of guar gum. It's apparently a natural thickening agent that will help make your paints a little bit more like a paste. So again, I am quoting someone. I'm yet to experiment with this and find the right solution for it. But I will keep everyone updated on my progress. But that's something I'm very, very keen on, finding a solution to, because I think it will make a huge difference.
Aneesha, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, how how difficult was it for you to hold on to what you believe in, uh, as you're growing up, from school to being a teenager to who you are today, art, then waste fabric, going around tailors. People must have said, "What are you doing?" You know,
Yeah.
how how was it for you? How did you hold on to what you uh, believed in or what you thought was the right thing for you to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. It's a really good one. I would say I think the intention with which I started this was something that helped ground myself, because I wasn't doing this for money. I wasn't doing this for fame. I was simply doing it because I got an idea that I was very, very curious about and wanted to see for myself where that would take me. So when I think of it in that manner, it didn't really matter to me what people thought, because I wasn't doing it to please anyone or try to make a product or sell it or anything. I was simply doing it because I was so curious that I wanted an answer to that question. So I think that's something that really helped. But you're absolutely right. And especially when I was collecting fabric waste from tailors, the tailors would always ask me and like give me strange looks as to why I'm picking off the rags from their floor, when I can afford to buy something new. But then I, like, this happened maybe 2-3 times, and then the third or fourth time I had shown them a couple of pictures of my paintings to say, I'm not actually super crazy, I'm actually using these in my paintings. And they got it. They got it in an instant. They said, they were like, why are we throwing this away? This doesn't look like waste now. Which is exactly the reaction I've been looking for, is that I just want everyone to see the beauty in these little tiny scraps. And so after that point on, they actually would set aside the best fabric waste for me to pick up, which was very, very sweet. But I think it depends on what intention you're doing it with. And mine came from a place where I just wanted to explore it for myself.
Thank you. That's very inspiring. Thank you, Anisha.
Thank you so much.
So I think no more questions from the audience. So thank you, Aneesha, for giving us this wonderful time and showing your artwork and telling about your journey. It was amazing talking to you. Thank you, Aneesha. I also thank the audience for joining us for this evening. I hope you liked the session. We also thank Yugalai for giving us this opportunity. So tomorrow we have tomorrow same time and same Zoom ID. It's Vishesh, Anish, and Akshat having a conversation through cooking and music. So hope you all join tomorrow at 6 p.m. And it's even live on Facebook and YouTube.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Hansika. It was really a pleasure talking to you, and I really enjoyed doing this session with you. And I really hope that you continue to paint and work on your art. And I'm really excited to see where that takes you.
Thank you.